I'd have to come back at about 10:30. So, we're still a work in progress. We had them on the ropes. We started slow. We gave them 3 days off at Thanksgiving, which is more than I've ever given them. I gave them Thursday, Friday, Saturday off. And we didn't really practice very well on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. But we did enough to win. They don't look like they're great, but they're hard. Like I think they were 30th in the country in defense coming in. They just have a lot of pieces that play good together, and they've won for so long. He's from Virginia, and they play like a Midwest type of team, more so than a team from California. They're tough. We did a really good job around the rim defensively. They've been beating people up in there, and we did a good job of keeping it out of there. Dave did an unbelievable job. So we just got to get him in better shape and get him more minutes out there, and he'll play better. And then I'm happy for Sabersov because he's had his struggles. But he's a good player. He just has to relax and play. So that was good for him.
Speaking of Sabersov, it was a rough opening 4 or 5 minutes for him and Barre. You still ultimately went back to him, even with Matuszewski eligible to play. Was that, no matter what, always going to be a plan? Just keep feeding him minutes and eventually he'll come down? Or has there ever in the last couple of games been a thought where maybe his minutes may have to potentially decrease, especially once someone like Trey Williams comes back?
It's a great question, and I really don't have the answer to it. I do know this, that if you don't have confidence in players, then they're not going to have any confidence. Although at some point they have to have the confidence, and you can't help them with it. But I decided I was going to start Sabersov and Barre regardless of how they play. Clearly Fusini's played better than Andre to this point, but what's the difference? Whether you start or you don't start, So, and clearly Dixon's played better than Chabi to this point as well. But we're going to need everybody. And then, Jakob was sick, so we couldn't really use him much. Look, I think Matusz is a good player. He just hadn't played much. He's been, he's pretty much out for 5, 6, 7, 8 months. So it was good to be able to get him out there because I think he can help us. He's got a good brain. He's got a good skill set, and he's big. So I think he'll get more and more as we go. It just complicates it, So now you add him to the mix. You got Hassan not getting as many minutes as he likes, which you can't blame him. We were a little disjointed, the first half because we played so many people, I think. Or maybe we just didn't play any good, one or the other. I don't know if I answered that, but I think I did.
Coach, in the final minute you had, or back-to-back, you had those 2 plays with Grant and Clark, one forcing the jump ball and then immediately after the turnover. How important are veteran moves like that defensively in a tight game like this?
I mean, we made some mistakes as well, but we didn't make any plays on offense. We had some open shots that could have won the game and we could have breezed in, but, we just didn't make any. And so I think those are things that we have to continue to work on. It's a little harder when we haven't scored consistently on the block. I told Dave after the game, I said, Dave, when you're playing against a big, strong guy like that, just face up and use your quickness rather than trying to back him down. But Dave's a work in progress, but shoot, he's blocked 5 more tonight. I mean, that's a pretty good attribute.
Keith, in a game like this where you're facing a team that went on the road and beat a ranked team by 10 with a win like that, and to get in a game like this where kind of choppy on both sides, tough sledding here and there, got a little dicey there toward the end, what does it say towards the effort of your guys, even though it might not have been the game that you might not have wanted to see as far as what you expected going in, but to see them still pull a game out like this?
Josh, really, it is what I expect. Like, I think we're about 60% of what we can be. Like, we have a lot of, it's all going to depend on how we develop and grow as a team. We have some deficiencies now that, are pretty telling. one of which isn't how hard we play. We play really hard and we try to play the right way. So we just have to fix our decision-making at times, and then, you know, just try to get more settled even as a coaching staff and as a team as to who's gonna play when. I think that's the hardest. It's hard on the guys, like, it's hard on me too, cause it's probably the least settled I've been as to who to play. Like Tristan said, really, like, some guys wouldn't have played Andre, right, at some point, or Chabi. But I'm not gonna give up on guys that I know can be good players. I'm gonna play them, and if we get a bump or two along the way, it's not gonna affect our season, because the last week of the season is gonna determine it anyway. So we might as well try to get better and better and better. You know, like, it's so hard to get an at-large. You gotta win, but it's still gonna come down to that last, you know, in New York, it's gonna come down to how many games we can win up to that point, and then how good are we at the end of the year. So I feel like those guys give you a chance to be good at the end of the year.
Speaking of which, a day like this, shooting 50% from behind the arc, and guys like Day-Day and Jimmy weren't the guys out in front. You had contributions from other guys, and still able to get some pretty consistent scoring and balanced scoring without your best shooters having their best day. What does that say to, as you were saying, having more guys being able to contribute and having that depth spread out across the board?
I felt like they did an unbelievable job on Day-Day. They fought him for every inch of the court. You know, he didn't get many opportunities because of it. I thought Jimmy had a lot of opportunities, you know, where he just didn't make some. Now, in fairness, you know, Jimmy played last year with an ankle that no one in the country could have played on. And he popped his shoulder yesterday, and really shouldn't have played tonight, but he's just a bad dude, man. He's gonna go out there and play. So he played with a bad shoulder. So I'm not making any excuses for him, but all he cares about is winning and playing basketball. So I gotta give him a lot of credit for playing, because a lot of guys wouldn't have played. So it says a lot about our team, yes, that we have enough around them to be able to survive some things.
You mentioned how tight they played Day-Day, yet he still has that no-look pass to set up Savrasov for that three-pointer, big moment in the game. That was a big turning point for you guys. You know, how big is that to get that kind of play out of Day-Day, even though he might have had a rougher day as far as the defense they were playing on him, but he's still able to set someone else up to succeed?
Well, there's a reason they come in at 30 in the country defensively, right? Like nobody scored on them all year, really. Like, it's, you know, I thought we had more opportunities than almost anybody that I saw him play against. You know, we had some pretty good looks. I don't know what we shot. What did we shoot? We shot
41
for 58, which isn't great. But, you know, we still had a lot of good. Even they make you take those mid-rangers, and we didn't make as many as we probably could have. And we missed a bunch around the rim. But they're big. Like, they're big, strong guys.
Keith, is it fair to say that this is the start of trying to play more inside? I mean, I know you've wanted to, but you probably haven't as much as you've wanted to.
We haven't played inside at all, really.
Right.
Like, I don't know yet if we're play ready yet, but we have to develop it. We don't have to live with it. You know, we don't have to live and die with it, but we have to develop it. You have to get paint touches in some way. We've done a good job of driving it, you know, but we had to do a better job of scoring it in there a little bit. Even on dump offs, we're messing up a bunch of dump off layups, and, you know. But eventually, Chavi's gonna make those. He's just jittery right now, just lacks a little confidence. But he didn't play for a long time either, so I'm not gonna make any excuses for him. But like, he's gonna be a good player. He just has to keep playing.
You've touched on Dixon a lot, but I'm curious about what you saw from him outside of the statistical line. It just felt like he had a good presence and showed a lot of intangibles. Did you see that as well?
I thought he dominated the game at the defensive end at times. You know, and then, you know, you can't guard the rim, and he's really good at getting like lobs and dump offs. He's an explosive guy, He's just scratching the surface though. He didn't play either. So, and he's a great kid. Like, he's an unbelievable person. So you're happy for him. But you think about last year when we started him, when guys were hurt, he played well. So he's capable of playing well. Ricky McFadden, our one assistant, he makes jokes about it because he recruited Dave. He said, one thing about Dave, when he goes to the game, something's going to happen. It might not always be good, but something's going to happen because he's so active. He's like a greyhound. He's quick twitched. He's like one of those 400-meter runners. He's just a gazelle. So, like, as he gets in better shape and he plays more, he gets more experienced, I think you're going to see a better player. I think he'll shoot the ball too before it's over. I just think he's just a work in progress.
Coach, you guys were doomed last week at Nebraska by foul trouble pretty early on in the second half, and then tonight, I think you only had 3 guys to commit multiple fouls. Was that a point of emphasis this week? Because it really enabled you to beef up on defense toward the end.
You really don't want me to comment on the Nebraska. I won't comment on that. What was a point of emphasis was our discipline. Not taking 10% gambles, not reaching in. We still did it. Not going over the back. Not playing so hard that we play like idiots. You know what I mean? So we can't put ourselves in peril because we're playing so hard that, we're jumping the passing lanes and getting back up. We still had a few little episodes of it tonight. But the point of emphasis is, look, we can't self-destruct. We have to make them earn everything that they get. So, yeah, we emphasized it. We only had 3 days, though, so it'll be another 25 days before we get it completely.
Keith, in practice, you have the guys, you call out a guy, they shoot a free throw. If they make it, they shoot another. If they miss it, they run. Just how maybe do those moments help when a guy like Dave is shooting and just build the confidence at the end to try to finish the game knowing he had missed that 1-and-1 earlier?
The good thing about Dave is he's good at letting the water hit his raincoat. He just lets it just drip off, and nothing seems to really faze him much. So it wasn't ideal that we couldn't get it into the other 2, but we didn't have any timeouts, so we had to throw it in. And then the question is, who do you put in there? Because Foose doesn't make any free throws right now either. So Jakob's sick. Matouche hadn't played, so my hands were a little bit tied. You have to have some bigger guys to throw the ball into late too. It's a little easier to get it in. But the one thing, Dave made it the last time too. He made the last time we were in a close game. So I wish we had thrown it into Day-Day. I think the odds are a little better when Day-Day gets it that he's going to make. And then Jimmy missed one too. He was 9 for 10 going in. So we tried to make it interesting for sure.
Any other questions for Coach?
Good.